Hi guys, welcome, and who dat? I'm Joe, and today I'm going to be talking about day 3 of the 2024 NFL Draft for our beloved, bless you boys, in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. Now, I'm a day late getting this video out. It's tough on the weekends to get stuff done, but I'm here to talk about day 3, where the Saints made 5 draft picks. And I'm going to tell you all of them and tell you how I feel about it. So, our first pick on day 3 came in the 5th round, pick 150. The New Orleans Saints selected quarterback Spencer Rattler out of South Carolina. Now, it seems like nationally this was a great pick because he was the first quarterback taken since that big run early in the first round. So, yeah, I guess people thought he could go as soon as the second, third round. I always had a third to fourth round grade on Spencer Rattler, and I thought to myself, if I was the Saints, I wouldn't entertain him until the 5th round, where he or Michael Pratt would have made a pretty good pick. The value is there, I feel. So I'm okay with the pick, even though we don't really need a quarterback. We'll see what the guy can do. Here's his measurables: 6 foot, 211 pounds. He's got 31-inch arms, 9 7/8 inch hands. He ran a 4.95 40. He had a 1.63 10 and a 32-inch vert, a 9-foot broad jump. His 3-cone was 7.21, and the 20 split, I think that's what that is, 4.37. Spencer Rattler did everything at the combine except the bench press, and overall he seemed unathletic. His stature's just okay. I mean, it's pretty small compared to guys like Drew Brees and Jake Hayner. I guess he's a little bigger, but not by much. But anyway, his past was marred by all kinds of junk, and I don't bother getting into it. If Netflix does a special on you, then I guess not right yet. If Netflix does a special on you, I guess it's not going to be good. Anyway, that was a long time ago. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. All I know is that he was quarterback for Oklahoma. He lost his job to Caleb Williams. Caleb ended up going to USC and being the first overall pick this year. And Spencer Rattler went to South Carolina and ends up being the 150th pick overall by the New Orleans Saints. So our next pick was in the 5th round, pick 170. And with that pick, the New Orleans Saints selected wide receiver Bub Means out of Pittsburgh. I liked Bub Means because of his size, 6 foot 1 inch, 212 pounds. He has arm length of 33 1/4 inches, hand size of 10 1/8 inch. He ran the 40 in 4.43, 10-yard split 1.55. Vertical was 39.5. His broad jump was 10 foot 2 inches. He had 19 bench reps, which is really good for a wide receiver, I feel. So overall, I feel like Bub Means is a pretty physical, pretty athletic dude. All of these numbers look great to me. And that's why I had him on the short list of wide receivers to focus on at the end of the draft if you hadn't already drafted somebody with size. And I feel like he has a lot of upside to him. His coaches at Pittsburgh apparently taught them some nuances that not a lot of rookie receivers have coming into the league, meaning that this preseason for our beloved bless you boys, I expect to see Spencer Rattler connecting with Bub Means in the second half of every game in the preseason. I expect that to work. I really do. I don't care how long it takes for them to figure out the offense. Mark my words, I expect Spencer Rattler throwing the ball to Bub Means in preseason, and I expect it to be a nice little hookup. And overall, I think Bub could make the team. He's got special teams abilities. I'm not sure if he'll cover kicks or return kicks or whatever, but let's keep an eye on it in training camp. So, our last fifth-round pick came at pick 175, and with that pick, the New Orleans Saints selected linebacker Jaylen Ford out of Texas. He was on my very short list of linebackers that I actually liked in this draft. I thought Jaylen Ford was one of the only guys in this draft that I could see projecting to play any of the linebacker spots. So I'm pretty excited that the Saints drafted Bub Means because I had a highlight on him and I had a highlight on Jaylen Ford, and I drafted him in many mocks for the Saints. Here's his measurables: 6 foot 2 inches, 240 pounds, 31 3/4 inch arms, 9.5 inch hands. His vertical was 33.5 inches. His broad jump was 10 foot 1 inch. So I think athletically, Jaylen Ford's pretty good. He's really good in coverage, I find. And I think that's important if you're going to play linebacker in this league. But you still have to be big enough and tough enough to stop the run. Well, Ford's had over 100 tackles in each of the last 2 seasons for Texas. Texas has turned it around in the last couple of years. I thought the draft picks coming out of Texas this year were great. I mean, a lot of them. And, yeah, I could have seen the Saints drafting a bunch of them. But Ford was one that I often drafted in the later rounds for linebackers. So I really like this pick. And he says he likes special teams, so we'll see what he has. Ford considers himself a middle linebacker, but he said he's willing to do anything. And he emphasized special teams several times in the interview. So glad to see the kid has his head screwed on straight. All right, with the second to last pick that the Saints owned, in round 6, pick 199, come here, Rye. My baby. The New Orleans Saints selected defensive tackle Christian Boyd out of Northern Iowa. I had him as a 4th, 5th round graded guy, and I was telling you guys that he was one to target late in the draft. The Saints didn't like to get really big defensive tackles early in the draft, and that's what they would probably do. Now, in the mocks, Boyd was going in like the 3rd round, 4th round, right at the end. So for us to get Christian Boyd in the 6th round, I think is great. Now, he's from Northern Iowa, and that's where Trevor Penning played. So now Boyd has a friend in Penning. Penning has a friend in Boyd, and I'm not going to judge them for going to that same small school. Christian Boyd's measurables: 6 foot 2 inches tall, 320 pounds. So, yeah. He's a short little stout guy, and he's got some athleticism, but he doesn't have pass rushing ability just yet. He's there to stop the run and play early downs, and hopefully in a couple of years he'll learn how to rush the passer, and we'll have ourselves a nice piece. I will say he has none of the measurables except for the bench press, which he did 38 reps at Northern Iowa. I think, yeah, that set the record at Northern Iowa. 38 reps of 225 pounds. I don't care how small the school is. that's pretty strong. And I think bench press is it's still a valuable tool to measure. So you can tell this guy's going to be strong and in the middle of the line. And we look like weaklings on the defensive line last year. We got pushed around in too many games. And so I'm happy we got Christian Boyd. Let's see if this small school kid turns into something special. And with our last pick in the 7th round, pick 239, the New Orleans Saints select Josiah Ezirim out of Eastern Kentucky, offensive tackle. Now, He played defensive tackle for 2 years, and then they switched him to offensive tackle. And this man, who was, I think he was born in Nigeria, he moved to America when he was 12 or 13. Now his hometown, his home state is Ohio. And this kid has been playing offensive tackle for 2 years, his entire life, and he's only done it for 2 years. And the Saints decided to draft him. Well, he's 6 foot, 6 inches tall, 329 pounds, 35 and 3/4 inch arms. That's pterodactyl size wingspan there. 10 and 3/4 inch hands. My God, I wouldn't want to get slapped by that. And he had 21 bench press reps. So he's a big dude. And with that arm length, if he can increase his strength, I believe he needs a couple of more years. I mean, he needs a couple of more years of playing tackle just to get used to playing tackle. I mean, this is crazy. This was by far the biggest reach the Saints made. And it's very interesting, and I can't complain. There was a run on offensive tackles in this draft, and some of my favorite late round guys were going in the 4th round, 5th round. And honestly, the Saints grabbed somebody I didn't even look into. But those measurables are impressive. He seems like a pretty humble dude, but he's going to need a couple more years. So hopefully, in a defensive line room that includes Cameron Jordan and Colin Saunders, we'll see. We'll see if he can pick up on some things. And I'm still talking about him like he's a defensive tackle. He's going to be playing offensive tackle. They asked him why the switch, and he said, well, the coaches thought it would help the team if he played offensive tackle, and I don't think he allowed a sack in the 2 years he played offensive tackle. I don't know if that is an indication of how badly or poorly he played at defensive tackle, but he's an offensive tackle. Yeah, and I got lost here for a second. He's going to be in a room with a bunch of young guys. Maybe Ryan Ramczyk can teach him something. Maybe our new offensive line coach can teach him something. This guy's raw. I don't know if I'd put him on. He's going to have to go on the practice squad. I worry about putting people on the practice squad because of Sean Payton. All right, so that's it. That's the day 3. That's the 5 draft picks we had. I'm sorry I have to record in this awful room with this awful audio. Tomorrow I'm going to give you another video wrapping up what my complete thoughts on the draft as a whole, and I'm also going to release this week a video covering our undrafted rookie free agents. So subscribe to Rosenfeld 10. I'm Joe, and I'll talk to you later. Who dat?